I want to do a really short video, which I'm going to try and condense and keep succinct, but on the subject of anxiety and fear. And it feels like a potent time to speak at length about this subject, given the current circumstances that we are collectively finding ourselves in, and ways in which that can manifest in different levels of extreme for individuals. So I can only give voice to understanding the extent of the emotions of fear and anxiety through observation within my own environment, and I suppose a memory or reflection of where I have been in the past, not in relation to this current dynamic with all of the dialogue about virus, but in relation to other experiences and traumas that I've had. So I know this emotion, and I understand it from several points of view. That doesn't always give you power over it in the moment. I want to talk about fear as an entity, as an energy or life form of its own, in a sense. That's the best way that I can try and get across the shape and the characterization and like the way that this can manifest. It's easiest to kind of label it as an other, but it's something that's connected to you, something that there exists a chord between you and that state, that vibration, that emotion. But the quality of this energy, when it is unbridled and when the tipping point or balance between you and your relaxed kind of loving state to the extreme end of the other side of the spectrum of highly anxious, highly engaged with fear and completely wired and full of adrenaline and cortisol and stress hormones. And when we come away from that balanced point in the middle, where we're kind of in a resting state but still alert and responding to our environment, the entity of fear can grow arms and legs, so to speak. It can expand and become bigger than us. If we think of us in the middle as this conduit, this container that has the capacity to absorb information and to bring through different states of flow, different transitions of moving through an emotional spectrum, when the fear becomes too much, we lose that ability to be malleable and to be in dialogue and mutual understanding with an emotion, or to self-regulate and to actually kind of go, okay, let me evaluate this situation, like what's really going on here, how do I feel, okay, I'm checking in with that emotion, like does that really meet the reality of what's going on here? Is it a valid response? Like, am I being triggered? Is there something underlying this? Is there more to this than meets the eye, kind of thing? They're all kind of questions that you have the space and the ability and the capacity to actually kind of go through, like a checklist, a wellness checklist, when you feel yourself kind of being pulled in this direction to the extent where it's beginning to take up too much of your energy, or to be too dominant in your feeling or your expression. But once things go all the way over here, it's the inflation of this feeling becomes so overwhelming that everything else goes out the window. So your ability to make sound evaluation and judgment with regards to communication, with regards to how you're transferring your energy, with regards to paranoia, and connecting with scenarios and possibilities in one's mind that are always tending towards the worst possible outcome. Then we can identify at that point, we know that the balance is swayed, it's way over here. This is a really difficult place to be in, to feel that you are being played by an emotion or driven by the energy of fear and the adrenaline of fear, that's the only thing that's like keeping you going and functional, because we become addicted to this kind of need for some sort of stimulation, something that's like gonna make us as alert and as like focused. But there's an irony in that we are more fragmented and more scattered. Our energy body and our sense of safety within the physical body is diminished because we are in survival mode completely. We are trying anything in that moment that will help us to just feel secure. And this is when the entity of fear can be unpredictable, antagonistic, violent, aggressive. All of the stops will be pulled out in order to create a barrier, a defense, and a way for the element within oneself that is just needing protection and needing to be held and needing to hide. It's like this in front becomes chaos, becomes just madness, and it's like a big storm is conjured up in order to kind of conceal and to hide what essentially is really a very vulnerable, raw essence within the self. And the more challenging aspect of being in this place, if you find yourself there, where your default position and your mode of expression is just completely locked into attack, defend, you know, you will say anything, you will do anything, you will release anger and emotion towards people that you love, that you care about, and you will be completely distrusting of anyone in that moment. And only you at that point have the power within yourself to transition you out of that space. So that's not to say that someone in a highly stressed, fearful state cannot be talked down or cannot be supported, because obviously having someone there who is compassionate and understanding and willing to spend time and energy in dialogue with you in that sort of space, that's often crucial in helping one move towards that transition. But ultimately, that's about the point at which you feel safe to do that. And that can't be forced, it can't be rushed, it can't be dictated to. But I absolutely convinced that the transition from that chaos and feeling out of control and feeling completely irrational and in that space can only be navigated out of with some intention of like, okay, I don't want to be here any longer, or I don't need to be here any longer. So there's something about a commitment to a decision which is triggered by an acknowledgement or understanding in that moment that in fact this space isn't quite as safe as I thought it was. In fact, it cannot sustain being here. Like my physical body, my energetic, emotional body, and my spiritual body cannot sustain being here. And certainly my intellectual body can't, because it's too much stuck here, too much confusion, too much energy, too much information. It's like being on overload, overdrive. But there has to be something within you that clicks and shifts. So it is really, really challenging times that we're in right now. And I'm sure that we all know someone who is, as we speak, in this highly charged, highly emotional, anxious, volatile, unstable place. So there's just an acknowledgement and a space holding for that, and an appreciation of that, and a sympathy and a resonance with how difficult that is. But there's also the element of wanting to acknowledge that there are tools available to support resilience, to support staying level-headed, to support challenging dialogue and communication, to support developing confidence in your conviction, and also to support tapping into and finding spaces within the self that are actually places of refuge and places to retreat, to be nourished, to rest, to take space, to be quiet, to calm, to relax, to release, to ground, and to find a point of balance again, find a point of congruence, find a point of, even if it's not peace, even if it's not ease, even if it's not joy, sometimes finding a balance is about coming away either from the conflict and the turmoil of prolonged exposure to someone who's in that state, or the fallout that is present from dysfunctional dialogues, or being on the receiving end of that energy that someone's directing towards you, or recovering from the adrenaline of moving away from that highly fearful, anxious space and trying to come back to kind of a place of functionality, where you can take stock and look at your resources, evaluate your problems and challenges with maybe not a totally clear head, but a level head, and with enough time and space within your world to actually think, okay, well, I can move this chest piece here or that piece there, I can swap this around, I can take a step back from that, or I can challenge that and move it out my way. So coming back to an objective space where you can review your options, weigh up your emotional resources and your energetic reserves, and make informed decisions from that point forward. So I just feel there are many people right now that are essentially on a proverbial precipice in regards to dancing or being very close to that like thin wire line of here's the edge and I'm right on the edge and I'm up against the wall and I can't move back and I can't move forward, and being stuck in a holding pattern which is about a fear, and not being able to move from that point. And yeah, it's really difficult, and I empathize with that space, and I am trying every day to find more room and more capacity within my own perspective to be compassionate towards people that are in that space, and be compassionate towards people that are attacking you, trying to defend themselves and trying to protect themselves. Even if that means that you are engaging with energy that's not meant for you, or energy that has an impact on you or affects you negatively. But equally, I'm also trying to be ever more present and clear in my communication, in articulating my needs, in clearly expressing myself, in trying as much as possible to speak from a heart-centered place and to be honest about what my needs and feelings and understandings are, which may not always resonate with people, but it makes it a hell of a lot easier if you can be grounded and self-assured in the way that you express. And then there's more potential for deeper connection and a meeting point, and for there to be shared platform and dialogue that's actually progressive and productive. But part of that process of being clear with expression is about articulating boundaries as well. So if you do find yourself in a situation with someone who's in this space, who's given it all that, you need to make it clear that that is not okay for you to be considered to be an emotional punching bag or an energy body that's, willing and open and tolerant to the point that you will actually take that on, because most of the time it's not meant for you, and even if it is, you don't have to take it. So there's something important there about giving yourself the respect that you want to afford others. So if you want to be kind and compassionate and understanding and open-minded and willing to listen, you have to give that to yourself first. And sometimes that means that the boundary is there of being like, I can't talk to you right now. I can't take your energy as it is right now, or I can't be in the same space as you right now, or no, come back to me again later. Right now just is not the time. And I think that's probably one of the harder disciplines to bring into focus, because when someone's in that space of like, this entity of fear has all of these tendrils that want to pull you in and draw you in and to feed off of your energy, you need to be hyper vigilant and hyper aware of that. And maintain some sense of where you are and where that is, and where you want to be in relation to that. And if it isn't here and it's there, you need to move away, or you need to be like, no, that's the block and you can't progress any further beyond this point. So yes, I just wanted to share some thoughts on that. I feel like it's super charged right now for so many people, and yeah, not easy stuff at all. So try and be well, look after each other as much as possible, and there are tools available, there are resources available, there are people always to talk to. So when you need to, reach out and don't isolate yourself, is what I wanted to say. Yeah. So be well, be well, be well, be well.